You're listening to the Accenture Insurance Influencers podcast.
Hello, I'm your host, Igrani Yu, and this is the Accenture Insurance Influencers podcast. We interview some of the insurance industry's biggest thinkers, asking them about trends, opportunities, and challenges that they see for the insurance industry. We'll be releasing full-length episodes in a few weeks. For now, I'm excited to share a clip from my conversation with Eric Joost.
My name is Eric Joost, and my job title is Global Head of Property and Casualty at Willis Towers Watson.
As part of my interviews, I ask each of my guests the same 4 quick-fire questions. The first one being, what's the biggest challenge facing insurers today?
From my point of view, it's the client experience. And it's, I think the insurers suffer from, they're caught in a sort of very difficult transition around cost. And at the end of the day, the basic product that they were very good at 20 years ago, they're still very good at today. They are less focused and able to deliver what I would say, sort of advice, service, and action around what that client experience actually is in a broader context that the client's going through. And they just need to learn how to be more self-aware is part of the challenge that they're facing there.
Right. And what's the biggest opportunity facing insurers today?
I think it's in the innovation space. So it's whether it's, and I don't necessarily think it's dramatically new stuff. This is things around, as I mentioned before, client experience, but also just this economic gap, the sort of parts of the world that just should buy insurance, that don't buy insurance. And it's not just consumers, it's governments, it's large corporations in other parts of the world. How we deal with tangible versus intangible risk. We're good at tangible, we're not great at intangible. And I think there's also, as I sit on this floor today in our London office, there's tons of product extensions that are just yards away from where we are today, that as people open their mind and want to be a little more innovative, they can get there.
Fantastic. What trends should be on insurers' radars?
I think 2 things. 2 trends they should be on. One is just client focus. What are the clients focused on? And then also technology, which may not surprise anybody. Particularly in the large and complex segment, taking stock of what 20 or 30 years ago, the percentage of time our clients spent on the product and the interaction with the insurer, maybe the broker, that may have been a very large percentage of their time. Today, for a variety of reasons, that number is very, very small, and you've got to start paying attention to what are your clients focused on in their daily jobs. What business problems are they trying to solve? It's not always about insurance. It might always be, or more often, it's about preventing insurance. Or it might be about sort of balance sheet protection. And on the technology side, I think it's paying attention to. There's this grand disparity between what the C-suite and the insurers are saying around technology and the reality on the ground. And there's a lot of very well-intentioned aspiration, but the understanding of what needs to be done to change what has been sort of embedded in the industry for decades from a technology point of view, it's a very, very tall challenge. And, as we move to a digital world, say in the next 10 years, you got to get your mind around, I got to run a business digitally, and I may have to run a mirror image of that business with humans for a while. And that's very, very tricky, but there's a lot of opportunity in getting to the other side.
And piggybacking on that answer, what technology will have the greatest effect on the industry over the next 10 to 15 years?
I mean, I think it's a cop-out. So data is not exactly a technology, but everything is going to flow from our ability to get data and data sets right and trusted and well used. It's the gateway to innovation. Today, an idea without data is just an idea on the shelf, and it just can't go anywhere if you want to bring any scale or distribution to it. One example of a technology in this space would be, Internet of Things, IoT. But if you think about it, IoT is just a data intake mechanism that actually allows unique data sets to come and be used for other purposes. And it's a wonderful technology. But the number one question I get from my interactions in Silicon Valley, particularly once you get out of the SME space, is what's your data set like? Because if I can't have a data set or a strong data set, I can't use technology and the typical things that it would do. And data applies. It's easy to say, but what does it really mean? It's how we ingest data, how we manage it, how we enrich it, how we bring third-party data sets to our existing data sets and actually make them more valuable, how we bring quality control. All of that's about driving trust so that we can convince others to make decisions off of it. And then the final thing on data is governance. I mean, I think you get it a lot with some of the big social media companies, but as we do all this and we become more sophisticated, we've got to make sure and look at the path others have cut for us and go, we have to make sure people can trust our ability to manage our own data on their behalf. Because if we don't do that well, somebody else will be managing it for us.
Wise words to finish on. I just want to say thank you very much. This has been a fascinating conversation.
Thank you for having me, and I really enjoyed just walking through all this with you.
Later this season, we'll release 2 full episodes with Eric. We'll talk about how the role of the insurance broker has changed, especially in today's digitally focused marketplace. Eric will also share a surprising tidbit about his career and talk about why diversity is both a moral and a business imperative. In the meantime, you can hear how my other guests answered these quick-fire questions. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Accenture Insurance Influencers podcast with your host, Agrani Yu. To hear more, visit accenture.com/insurance-influencers, where you can subscribe and hear more from some of the leading thinkers in the insurance industry today.